Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television. A reminder of our top stories. President Buhari vows to ensure the rescue of all Nigerians in Boko Haram captivity as he meets with 3 university lecturers and 10 women recently released by the insurgents. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo raises concern over looming humanitarian crisis in Lake Chad, calls for international collaboration to prevent drying up of the water. At least 7 persons are killed following a clash between groups in Kaduna. Governor El-Rufai orders arrest of persons behind the mayhem. And Russia's President Vladimir Putin orders daily pause in the assault by the Syrian government on the rebel-held eastern Ghouta province. Now, for more on our top stories and others, please visit our website, channelstv.com, and youtube.com/channelsweb. Also, please log on to m.channelstv.com to watch us on your mobile device, or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS, and Windows devices from their respective stores. The Channels TV and Channels 24 app will give you access to news and updates. You'll also have access to the Eyewitness feature, with which you can share those pictures, videos, or news of happenings around you. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the menu, and then follow the instructions. And now to some of the pictures and videos that you sent into our Eyewitness portal today. Our first image is from Oyo Town in Oyo State, showing the scene of an accident involving a truck and a car. Our Eyewitness reporter says the container, which was carrying some products for export, fell on the Range Rover parked by the road. The container fell when the driver was trying to negotiate a roundabout on its way to Apapa in Lagos. Thankfully, there was no casualty. Our next video is from a location between Cement Bus Stop and under bridge on the Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway, showing the site of a burst gas pipeline. Our Eyewitness reports that the burst is due to a construction work ongoing there, and he's worried by the release of gas and wants men of the Emergency Management Agency to check this and want residents to be careful around there. We move on to Surulere area of Lagos State with this video showing residents of M2 Royal Garden Estate who are allegedly being evicted from their homes. Our Eyewitness reporter claims that the eviction was hastily done without due and appropriate notice. He wants the concerned authorities to look into the issue with the hope of correcting the anomaly. We end with this video showing residents of Enugu, the coal city, doing a sports exercise at the Michael Okpara Square on a weekend. According to our Eyewitness reporter, this place is a melting pot of social, physical, and mental activities, and he encourages other residents to find time to exercise themselves too. Thank you so much for sending in those pictures, and please keep them coming. At least 7 people are found killed and 15 others injured in a violence that broke out among youth in Kasua Magani village in Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State. The incident, which started like a minor quarrel, degenerated into a major crisis with the youth burning houses and destroying other valuables in the area. Channels Television learned that the crisis is a fallout of a forceful conversion of some ladies to a particular religion. The police public relations officer in Kaduna State, Mukhtar Aliu, says the situation has been resolved, while more security operatives have been deployed to the community to maintain law and order. Meanwhile, the Kaduna State Governor, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, has ordered the arrest and prosecution of all persons responsible for the violence. Kasuwan Magani is 31 kilometers away from the Kaduna State capital and is located on the highway that links the state to Plateau, Nasarawa, and Benue states. And speaking of Benue State, Governor Samuel Otom has raised fresh concerns about herdsmen attacks with an alleged influx of more than 1 million cattle into the state since the launch of military exercise cat race. Governor Otom is raising the concerns over what he calls threats to security of lives and property in the state. He was speaking to a league of religious leaders who paid him a condolence visit today at the government house in Makurdi.
There has been an influx of over 1 million cattle into Benue territory. This is not acceptable, but we believe that the idea of Fatima will ensure that justice is given to us. We do not ask for any other thing. We are asking that let there be justice for Benue people, because we are law-abiding. We do not want to take laws into our hands. We believe that The federal government, whose prerogative is to ensure the enforcement of our laws, will support us.
And now time to move on to Abuja, where Ibrahim Adra is waiting with more reports. Good evening, Ibrahim.
Hello, Ladi. Now, here in Abuja, in what appears to be part of measures to address the divisions within the ruling All Progressive Congress, a meeting of the party's caucus is right now underway at the presidential villa. The meeting, being presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari, also has Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, APC National Chairman John Oyegun, APC National Leader Chief Bola Tinubu, and other party leaders in attendance. And both President Buhari and Chief Oyegun called for unity among members to strengthen the APC ahead of the 2019 general elections.
Now that the INEC has come out with timetable for election in 2019, the party should prepare itself for congresses at wards, local governments, states, and the center. We should strictly follow the constitution of the party in undertaking these party elections. We should ensure internal democracy and avoid shortcuts and illegal maneuvers which have characterized the opposition party, with the consequences that they are now divided. Regardless of the outcomes of the primary processes, it is imperative that we all work together to ensure the victory of our party.
All of us, committed party members, must put aside all differences at this time and work to ensure victory for our party at the next elections. Disagreements and differences of opinion are normal features of democratic associations, but we must not allow these to develop to the extent that they become fatal either to the existence of our great party or to the achievement of basic objective of winning elections.
Meanwhile, a four-man committee from the All Progressive Congress, APC, is investigating the demolition of a faction secretariat of the party in Kaduna State by government. The committee will also investigate other lingering issues that have defied immediate solutions within the state chapter of the party. The committee, led by the National Deputy Chairman South of the party, Segun Uni, gives the assurance that the different factions will soon reconcile their differences.
Let me appeal to all of you on behalf of the National Working Committee that you should try and keep the peace. You should try and restrain from further inflaming the atmosphere. You should also have confidence. I'm here to communicate hope that you should also have confidence that whatever problems are on ground will be resolved by God's grace, so that all of us can again function together as one family, and we'll be able to move our party forward and move the state forward.
And now away from party politics to election matters. As part of efforts to speed up the ongoing continuous voters registration exercise, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is deploying additional 400 data capture machines to register eligible voters before the 2019 elections. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu is confident that all eligible voters who are yet to be registered will be given the opportunity to do so before the elections commence next year. Professor Mahmoud was speaking at an interactive meeting with journalists in Abuja on preparations for next year's general elections.
We started initially at local government offices in each of the 774 local government offices nationwide. But later, in response to appeal by Nigerians, we created additional centers. And following appeal again by Nigerians, we created more centers, such that as of today, we have 1,446 centers in addition to the rotation of the exercise. We have taken into consideration all the comments and observations on the machines being slow, the registration centers being a little removed from the places of domicile of majority of Nigerians. But as we can see, the question now is the surge in the turnout of eligible registrants rather than the issue of distance. The Commission will have additional 400 plus machines to deploy to other states of the Federation to speed up the process. But as you can see, the queues are no longer as lengthy as they used to be at the beginning of the exercise.
Now, the National Assembly is holding a two-day roundtable discussion on issues of illegal migration and human trafficking in Edo State in order to help deal with the problem head-on. The Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, while declaring the session open, asked stakeholders to come up with useful ideas on developing short and medium-term strategies to stem the tide of the global scourge. According to recent statistics from the European Union and other international agencies, Nigeria ranks top on the list of countries where illegal migration and human trafficking is prevalent.
The President of the Senate, Dr. Bukola Saraki, leads dignitaries to a Senate roundtable on migration and human trafficking in Benin City, the Edo State capital. This program assembles various stakeholders in a bid to proffer sustainable solutions to a scourge which is fast degenerating into a global crisis. The bulk of identified victims in the alleged modern-day human slavery are Nigerians, mainly from Edo State. The European Union, on its part, calls for more decisive steps to curb the menace.
We have years engaging with the Nigerian government, civil society, multilateral organizations and other key stakeholders, trying to find sustainable solutions, always through a holistic approach, because our response needs to match the complexity of the challenge.
While reeling out some worrying statistics concerning illegal migration and human trafficking, the Senate President expresses the belief that this initiative will help develop the right policies and legislation to curb the menace.
Our citizens represent the fifth largest number of migrants crossing the Mediterranean Sea and into Europe. And the number of females arriving in Italy alone increased by 600-fold in just 3 years. We have over 10,000 Nigerians estimated to have lost their lives in this last year.
After the opening formalities, it's time for the plenary session, with resource persons making their contributions.
It's about jobs, it's about education, and as we've heard before, it's about structural inequality.
While some victims of alleged human trafficking were also given the opportunity to share their unfortunate experiences. The high point on the occasion was the launch of a handbook on the effects of illegal migration and human trafficking.
And that's it from Abuja studios. But when the news at 10 returns, crude oil prices hit fresh 3-week high on pledge from Saudi Arabia to further cut production in line with OPEC deal. Do stay with us.